Now, in this short video right here, this is going to be about your spirit, which is you have an individual spirit, which makes it a soul, and this is the observer. So this is the observer, and for the most part, then you have what brings life, your mind, and then what brings death, your body. So your mind is a representation of life, your body is a representation of death, and your spirit is the observer and the one that make these things up, which is why you say things like make up your mind, and making up a decision with your mind to control your body with, to carry out those duties and obligations. So to keep the flesh, death, alive, you have to give it life, the mind, the imagination, and the spirit based on the space that it's in as an individual. That's what makes it a soul, having its own observation from its perspective. And once it become aware, it makes a mind to be inside of. That separates it from other spaces, spirits, individual souls, individual spaces, which are, and multiple, we call it spirits, but a spirit is singling something out, which makes it a soul because it's an individual space, an individual spirit. So that's what makes it a soul, and the masculine aspect of something that has no form. So for the most part, when we start to talk about the spirit having an observation, it creates an awareness, which is the mind, and that gives life. Then the light, anytime something starts, it has an expiration date. So the more you give a mentality, you're giving life, you're creating a form, and you're condensing it based upon the accumulation of the many ones you're doing after it, and then it becomes death. And you can start this off based upon having a thought form and thinking about it too hard to the point that it starts to become too heavy and wear and tear on you to the point that it's something that you have to let go and shed like dead weight. And these circumstances will manifest as external events based on how you interact physically with your outside world because of the lens that you see it in, the mind. And if it's a heavy one that got a lot of accumulation of heaviness in it, that's how you're going to see your external, physical, outside of you situations. And then the way you may interact with these situations may be in that mental manner. And you may overact or make a small issue bigger than it actually have to, based on how you're looking at the physical situation, starting from your mind. And a lot of times, this is how you give life to situations, and this is how you give death to situations. Understanding the mechanism. So even these organs have got created from the mind first, and the mind get created from the spirit. So the spirit, the individual solo spirit space, which is the soul, controls the mind, and the mind controls the body. So the mind bends in and accumulates and condenses and become the organs, adrenaline, the blood. So anytime you damage one of these things, or one of these things start to become expired based upon being old and outdated, or transitioning and things of that nature, or have an illness, then spiritually, if you know how to go to the certain space where you develop that certain mentality, that bend in, that could develop adrenaline in that specific area that it bends in and make those organs, then you will pass the situation of creating tissue in other areas to create cancers and things of that nature, and give more life to the organs before they expire, or if they're damaged, have enough blood to replenish in some way, shape, or form, being in that right spiritual space to create that mental state to bend in on itself to become the physical matter that becomes your organ to juice it back up for you to feel alive again. And for the most part, this is how you keep the death alive. So the spirit eat life, which is mentalities. Then once it eat that, it condenses and become adrenaline, and now it becomes something you want to express physically. Then once you express things physically, you want to get the things we created from the inside out to replenish the actual body and things of that nature, so it can recharge, which is how our minds create fruit and things outside of us. So even so, you could take that to the point when even you're getting ready to die, or you're in a type of circumstance of pain, or you're even enjoying your circumstances in some manner. You know, your spirit is the observer, your mind is life, and your body is death. And when you understand that from your own individual perspective, now you can start understanding your spiritual science temperature. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, when someone check your temperature, they're not spiritually strong enough to be able to do that. So you'll be able to tell that spirit, sit on down somewhere before you get checked. And what further than that.